Hello, wonderful people. How are you? Today I'm talking about spirituality. What spirituality is. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but we'll talk about the emissary's take on that. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So before we start, if you would like a t-shirt, for example, like this one, Peaceful Rebellion, beautiful Vicky Cook is doing t-shirts, and so I'll put her email here if you wanted to get one. Obviously, you can ask her to put whatever you fancy. She does some beautiful t-shirts. And the self-forgiveness course is running next weekend on the 11th and 12th of November. Plenty of people have joined, but there's room for everybody because it's a Zoom course. So if you're interested, I'll put the details here and just contact me and book your place. So what is spirituality? Well, I asked the emissaries that question and I said, tell me, what is spirituality? And what they said was, spirituality is a remembering. It's not something that we find. You don't find spirituality. Lots of people talk about that, don't they? I found spirituality. The emissaries say it's not a finding, it's a remembering, it's an understanding, it's a knowing. And the best way to kind of give you an idea of what that means is a story about the man who'd been searching for God years and years and years, and finally he went to see a guru and he said, I've been looking for God all over, and I've been to the highest mountaintops, I've been to the deepest seas. And the guru said, and have you found him? And he said, no, I haven't. Can you help me to find God? And the guru looked at him and he felt really sorry, because as he was sitting there, he looked around and the sun was shining in the sky, the birds were singing in the trees. He was aware that he was sitting there breathing, and as he breathed, miracles were happening, millions upon trillions, in fact, of miracles happening inside. And he felt heartily sorry for the man, that the man thought that God was to be found outside, when in fact, all he need do is look down and look around, and there it is. And I'm linking God to spirituality, right? And it really doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's a remembering of who we are. The emissaries say that God is not found, and I'm saying God, spirituality, is not found in books, nor in rites, nor in liturgies, nor in religion. Spirituality is found within us. We came here with it. We have everything on the inside. And all that we need to do is find it, is to get in touch with it. You know, it's like happiness. People say, you know, the Americans talk about the pursuit of happiness. Bad idea. Running after it. Happiness is not external. Happiness is not found in things. Happiness was a gift that we were given when we were born. And what happens is it gets suppressed and subsumed and lost. And we've got to remember that happiness. Happiness is linked to spirituality in a very big way. They are inextricably linked. And that's why I think it was mentioned by somebody very famous who said that children enter into the kingdom of God so easily. Why? Because they have that innocence, they have that happiness, and they have that remembering. I'll give you an example. My son, who's 7, we had a conversation with him the other day, and he was crying, okay? And we said, what's wrong? And he said, I'm crying because in another time, right? And he doesn't express himself fully yet because he hasn't got the language skills. But he said, I had a grandfather and he bought me a duck, a pet duck, okay? And we were like, really? He said, yes. And then I loved that duck, but then the duck died, and then my grandfather died. And we said, did you not have parents? And he said, no, they died a lot earlier and my grandfather used to look after me. But then, finally, I was able to get a real mum again, okay? And he was crying, and we kind of didn't press it because he was just, we didn't ask him any questions. He just came up and offered this information. Children remember where they've come from. And we forget. As we get older, life takes over, things get very complicated, things get very scary, and we forget where we came from. We forget about all of that. And it's for that reason that the emissary said that spirituality is something we discover and within ourselves. And it's like a lost treasure. We had it, we lost it, and then we can find it again. And we get tied up in the day-to-day of life. And the day-to-day seems to be all that there is. This day-to-day, this drudgery, the responsibility, etc. And that reminds me of that other expression, which is, before enlightenment, I used to chop sticks and carry water. And oh, such struggle. After enlightenment, I continue to chop sticks and carry water. Oh, joy. And so when we find spirituality, nothing changes externally. Really, it doesn't. It doesn't need to change. We do then begin to change it for sure. But initially, the finding of spirituality has nothing to do with external stuff. All that happens is when you have it. And we're going to talk about this. The Jesus energy was talking about fear. Once you have it, all fear is dispelled. Everything is okay. Like the man who said, well, before enlightenment, I used to be depressed. Oh, such struggle. And after enlightenment, I continued to be depressed. But it just wasn't the same anymore. Oh, joy. And of course, spirituality's been co-opted, hasn't it? It's been co-opted across the years by religion. And so you have to have a man or a woman who tells you how to be spiritual, who tells you how you have to behave, how you have to work in a certain way so that you achieve salvation. The salvation that we already have is inside of us. We're already saved. We don't need saving by anybody. We are already saved, and it's just remembering it. And so what I want to do is I want to link this message with this chart. I'll put it up here, this chart. All right, I'll put it up on the screen. The vibrations of emotion chart. And what I think is interesting about this is that you've got this lower level from 0 to 175, right? This is the frequency. Now, where do the baddies want us to be? Well, they want us to be in fear, don't they? Which is at 100. So this is low vibration. But there's lower the grief and apathy, guilt, insecurity, hence the fact that I'm doing this self-forgiveness course. Guilt is even lower than fear. Guilt's at 30. I mean, that's bad, isn't it? And what does religion do? Religion constantly wants you to feel guilty just about existing. We are sinful. And they took that idea, and that's true, you know. It's true that we're sinful. But not in the way that religion sells us. What it means is that we didn't come here to be perfect. We don't need to strive for perfection. That's not the purpose of this journey that we're on. This journey through this existence. It's not to be perfect. So yes, we are imperfect. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's where religion tried to sell us something. Spirituality is supposed to be the attainment of perfection, or at least having Jesus forgive all of our sins, okay? We came here to have sins to overcome. We came here to have a hard time to overcome. So where do you go when you find spirituality? Well, looking at this chart, like at 500, well, 400, you've got reason, hope, and optimism. Well, we've all had a bit of that, haven't we? In fact, I would say that lots of the time, because remember, these vibrations, they change according to your day, your state, what you've just watched, what you've just thought. And so I think that we probably spend a lot of time in love, enthusiasm, happiness, positive expectation, belief, and good. That's what we need. We need at least as a base to be there, to be optimistic. You know, There's too much talk, negative talk about, oh my God, this is so bad. What happens when people are talking? And I've been watching some people talking lately. You know, people who should know better. Very bad. Very bad. They should know better. And they're talking all this fearful talk. Well, what does that do? It takes you down to 100. Fear. You know, when you feel it, you know where we feel fear, like, oh my God, what on earth's happening? Straight down to 100. That's okay. It's okay for us to feel fear, but only for a period, and then we must raise ourselves up. But what's beyond? When we get beyond love, we get into joy and peace. Well, when you remember who you are, when we remember who we are, we become joyful and peaceful. There's a beautiful peace that's found in knowing that everything is okay. All is well. But look where enlightenment is. Enlightenment is 700. So, before enlightenment, I used to chop sticks and carry water. What struggle? After enlightenment, I did the same. Oh joy. So, enlightenment is really up there when you reach that enlightenment. But you know, just because you hit enlightenment and you understand, doesn't mean that that's where you're going to stay. Of course, you can drop back down, depending on remember, this is a 3D body that we're in, a 3D world. We can get hurt. It can be fucking tough, to use a very, that word tough, okay? The fucking is just for a bit of emphasis, okay? But then above enlightenment, appreciation, gratitude, freedom, empowerment, and God consciousness are the 1,000. Right. So, what do we do to help ourselves to stay up high? Well, we go for the 900. Gratitude. The cliche, have an attitude of gratitude. That's not, you know, it's a bit, as they say in Spanish, cursi. What's the word? It's a bit cliche, a bit, ooh, you know, an attitude of gratitude. There's no I in team, all of that. But that's where we need to be. How do you do it? You just give thanks. Give thanks as often as you can. The best way to start your day is get up and give thanks before you start when you're in bed. And I do it not all of the time because I forget. But sometimes I wake up and I open my eyes and I say, thank you for this day. It's going to be a beautiful day. Thank you for everything. Every single time that I go out and I meditate outside, I give thanks. I do a little thanks ritual and I give thanks for everything. That helps. That's pulling you up this chart. Okay? And then you watch something and boom, down to fear, down to 100. Pull yourself up again. Because the thing is, fear, and the Jesus energy is going to talk about fear. Fear is just a perception. It's not real. It's not real. It's just given to us. And they're giving to us all of the time, fear, because they want to pull us down from this enlightenment place, this appreciation, this gratitude. They've got to. That's their job, the baddies. And our job is to pull ourselves up. Pull up our knickers. That's what we've got to do. We've got to pull our socks up. We've got to pull our pants up and stop walking around with our arse bare because it gets slapped. Okay? So there you are. That's where we want to be. We want to be up in the purple. Get up in the purple. But don't think that when you fall down and you go into the yellow or the orange or even the red, don't think that you've failed. Because it's not about failing. The whole idea is that we're here and it's like a barometer of our state. We've got to manage our state. And this is something that used to come out in the 80s when they were starting to do all of this work. Manage your state. NLP is all about state management. That's because it's so important. It's so important. When you were up in the purple, when you were in this gratitude, freedom, empowerment, you are creating. You're only one step away from God consciousness. God consciousness, what's that? I don't know. I think I've probably dipped into it, but not for very long. And I know the emissaries have given me that feeling, but not for very long. And they took it away, so I can't remember what it was like. So, that's what we've got to do. The chart, is it right? I don't know. I mean, there's some people are doing loads of work on this and they're reading it and they're saying, oh, this person was at this energy or whatever. I think that might be an average, but across the whole of our life, we go up and down like, as the expression goes, up and down like a whoas knickers. There you are, I've mentioned knickers twice now. So, let's work on keeping our vibe high. Let's step into gratitude as often as we can. That to me is the best thing that we can do. Give thanks for everything, even the bad, even the baddies. All right, I love you all. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.